If there's one thing this city's taught me, you can put a price on anything. Secrets, reputations, a life. Going that way.
Thief is a single-player stealth experience developed by Eidos Montreal, the same company that brought us Deus Ex Human Revolution, and Nexus Software BV developed the PC port. Published by Square Enix for PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. Let's see if Thief lives up to their previous work.
Where the hell have you been?
I don't know.
The protagonist Garrett, the master thief, returns to his hometown only known as the city. After being away for a long time, reason unknown, finds the town ruled by a tyrant called the Baron. The story begins when Garrett is forced to pair up with his former apprentice, Aaron, who both acquired the same contract from their mutual acquaintance, Bassau. After arriving at the job, Garrett gets a bad feeling so decides to call off the job. Meanwhile, Aaron doesn't listen and wants to go ahead with it. Now because Aaron didn't listen to Garrett, she has found herself falling through a skylight into a ritual for the primal stone. At this time in the story, it is unclear as to what these people are doing with the stone itself.
I don't have time for this. Especially with the Baron's new duty on opium, thanks to this gloom sickness.
While the city seems to have been plagued by an illness known as the gloom, Garrett intends to use the situation to his advantage. Yet the plague part of the story dies out within the first chapter with slight mentions throughout. This part of the story could have improved the overall story and allowed more depth to the narrative. The story was developed over trying to stop the primal stone, the object during the ritual, from getting into the wrong hands and doesn't really go beyond that. The visuals in Thief really do look amazing, and the developer treated the next-gen versions of the title with the attention that it required. Last gen, however, not so much, but that is completely understandable. The PC version had all these pretty settings, but it seemed that turning both tessellation and parallax occlusion mapping off had no visual impact on the textures within the game. So the only thing I could draw from this conclusion was add effects that sound cool and add a performance dip to these settings, nothing more. I also tried both the 32-bit version and the 64-bit version with still no luck. With that being said, there were some textures in the game like rope that was on the floor that looked absolutely horrible for some reason, and there was certain sections in the game where there was a scripted event and in the distance the sort of distance textures didn't actually stay rendered and they kind of flickered or disappeared. You'll see that in this section. Overall, the game does look stunning. The player controls Garrett while he steals items throughout the world, with 5 basic mechanics of control. Swoosh, basically a quick evade, the blackjack, a club, focus, helps find objects, hiding, and minuscule level of parkour. Swoosh will help make fast movements to the darkness, which is used to keep Garrett out of sight, even though you can still clearly see him. Garrett also carries an object called the blackjack, which is basically a club you can use to knock guards out from behind. The player also has the option to use Garrett's new ability called Focus to find traps, switches, throwable objects, valuable items, hiding spots like cupboards. Cupboards also create a checkpoint, or pipes to navigate to the next section. You can also use lockpicks to open safes and open locked doors. The player needs to use stealth in order to avoid enemies. You can choose to fight them, but unless you have enough arrows to take them all out, that strategy usually never works. There are usually 2 ways of entering or completing objectives, but the game would still be considered very linear when compared to the previous games. There are a few obstacles within the world that become a nuisance after a while, like the inclusion of crows. Once you get close or make a noise, they go ballistic for no apparent reason. Unexplained glass scattered on the ground is the only time you would consider walking, which slows down the pace of the game dramatically. Alerted enemies such as guards will try to flush you out for about 5 seconds, but if you move out of their line of sight, normally they'll just give up, which can make the experience a hell of a lot easier even on master difficulty. Simply running away normally gets the job done. All objects you steal are given a direct money value once you pick them up, which is quite odd once you think about it, because simply put, if Garrett is storing all this, how does he have enough room in his pouch? And also, where does he get the money from, since you don't sell anything unless you go to a trader? Which, mind you, are hard to find, because after each chapter, the game resets your location to the clock tower, so you would have to travel to the trader in order to buy things. Within certain chapters, the trader is not in the same location, so without a map you can't tell where to actually buy anything from, and you have to rely on the world to have what you need in plain sight. I am aware that there is a map, but unfortunately I believe you have to buy the map from the trader, so if you can't find the trader, you're basically screwed. Nice design choice there, guys. On top of all this, there was one section for me that was just a pain, simply because there was no prompt to jump to the ledge to actually progress within the game. Stupid AI is something I cannot forgive that easily, because if you're in an open area and find a building or just higher ground, the enemy doesn't do anything but stand there. So much for flushing me out, right? Not to mention the game is filled with pointless loading screens, yet has instances in the game where they're supposed to load the level behind it, but in place there is a loading screen. Doesn't make any sense. Now this is only a stepping stone for what is horribly wrong with Thief, so if you have anything else to include, feel free to leave it in the comments below.
I would've went for the pickle jar paso a lot more weight.
Within Thief, you'll find that sound plays a huge part of the game, such as getting close to crows, because then the guards will be alerted. Walking over glass gives the same effect. So the sound within the game keeps you on your toes if you want to make a full stealthy playthrough. But if you're like me and pay attention to the guards' locations, you could probably just run past them, and they don't bother chasing you. Also, the soundtrack in the game would randomly play edgy toned music, as if I was being chased, even though I wasn't even being attacked, nor was anyone alerted of my presence. So I thought that was quite strange.
So how much did you steal?
It's not how much you steal. It's what you steal.
If this game was made by someone other than the guys that brought us Deus Ex Human Revolution, I could forgive a lot of the wrong that happened within this game, but stupid AI, poor level design, and constant loading screens was an absolute pain, which drove me to this conclusion. Thief gets a 4.5 out of 10 from me. Thank you for checking out my Thief review. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.